Welcome back. I said we would build a bypass link. Check it out. So the bypass link is just a composite glue up, essentially, of a string component rope. In this case, it's Oplux. So I've got a piece of Oplux here that's you want it for this one at least 42 inches. You can always trim it back, but around 42 inches Oplux. Um, this part that adds the bulk here, the spacer, that can be done with old old climbing rope. Could be Oplux, could be whatever you have, retired rope that you don't trust anymore, or it can be just as cheap kind of Harbor Freight. This long piece that comes through, this is 29 inches. It could be a little bit longer, especially at this end. So that's not some of that's going to be personal taste. Then I'll have a dozen pieces of that filler rope, 5 inches long each. There's some paracord. I need a piece of heat shrink tubing here. This is about 1 3/4 inch long, and then this one was 3 1/4. It's a kind of a mandrel. This is a 2 inch OD exhaust pipe, but that's about the size that I like for this opening here. Let's see. Need some Gorilla Glue and hot glue gun, uh, a heat gun, and this piece here is I think about a 4.5 inch long piece of tubular webbing. It's kind of a chafing guard for this Oplux. I don't know if it's unnecessarily it is to have, but anyway, it's kind of it's a straightforward build, and get started here. I'm going to start by just tacking these pieces together. I need one bunch of 5 evened up like that. So it's 5, 4, 3, I'm gonna go through and tack them together. With this. Then I'm gonna set this these two together now. Tack them together. And I end up with about 14.5 of this Oplux sticking out of this heat shrink. So what I'm gonna have inside of here is and this piece that's inside of this heat shrink, this end of this, I'm not going to melt this or anything. I don't want any hard edges rubbing on this Oplux where I can't keep track of them. But I'm gonna set this up to where I got about 14 and a half here, and we'll have this inside the heat shrink here, and then again over here. So right now I'm gonna set this at let's see what I get here. Yeah, go about just about 15 inches back from the end of the Oplux, and I'm gonna kind of glue that together for now, right there. And then I'm gonna get my heat gun. I got my heat gun. I got my shorter piece of tubing. I'll slide over top of this and come past the end here. And this stuff doesn't really shrink longitudinally. So wherever we set it, that's about where it's going to be here. But I want to end up kind of with the end of this filler rope kind of back from the heat shrink tubing. And just if you had to, you could do this with a torch or some other source of heat. I'm going to go until I see the kind of the adhesive. Let that cool off. Okay, so now I'm going to take the mandrel and I'm going to take this longer piece of heat shrink, and I don't have a smaller. I think I used 3/8 heat shrink on here, and I don't have any, or else I would finish it. I would finish this end and possibly this end, but this end I melted on this piece. But I'm going to slide this on, and what's going to happen here is these two pieces will be wrapped on, and I want the Oplux to be, they'll be side by side on this mandrel, and then they'll be side by side underneath these layers. It'll go 2, 3, let's see, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then glue this down, and but until then, we're going to set this end here, and I'm going to run it about like that. So, and then when I heat it up, I'm going to want this to remain on the this rope to remain outside on both ends like that, kind of like that. I don't want to have to try to twist them back in the right place later, but I take my heat gun here and heat this up. Once I get it to kind of stick, I'll lay it down on the board and, or maybe, let's see how this goes. And I'll let that cool down. You can see that adhesive cooks out of that. Once that's cooled down, I'm gonna put some Gorilla Glue on in between these layers, and I'll wrap it on here, and then I'll take the whole thing and run it under the faucet, and then let it sit until that Gorilla Glue kicks off. So now I'm gonna glue this up. I gotta hold this steady. So I'm gonna take some tape, kind of get this on here. The ends here more or less even, I think, and tape this up, and then I'm gonna tack this. I'm gonna tack it to this here. This is ready. Not quite. Just so it's just a little more stable. So tack this here a little bit. Over here. And then I think, just to help with the holding everything in place as it glues, let's see, I'm going to put 2 of these in here. I'll put 2 of these wire ties in here. You could do it with wire, you could do the same thing with tape, but I have another really good way of holding everything in place here. Let that harden. So now that we got this kind of set, I take these, started from the outside. The outermost is the one with 5. And I'll put some Gorilla Glue on it. This stuff expands, so it doesn't take a ton, but it's a pain to get off, but we can always add to it, and then take the piece with 4 and lay them in there centered this way, so they lay in the in between. And then we're going to glue this one up. And I would make, normally I would make at least 2 of these links at a time. So, or I would cut the pieces anyway, put it that way. And then, so now we got the three, three parallel pieces towards the end. It's going to be the inside. It's going to go against this. And I'm going to put some glue on that. Try not to wear it. Even them up. And I'm going to even them up on this this mandrel here. Even relative to these ends of this heat shrink tube, more or less. And then I can put this. Let's see. Put this one on here. I don't want to compress it too much. Just want to hold it in place, more or less. Make sure it, make sure they didn't slide out of position. They should show a step coming up this way on both sides, more or less. And then this stuff, once this glue is set, this this can be carved, and we'll get to that. But I can put this on here like this. Maybe take a piece of this tape. Just to hold it close here. I'll hold these ends in close in case they get. Once they turn solid, it's kind of hard to deal with them unless it just involves cutting them away. But so once it's on here, I'm gonna take this and I'll run it. I'll just run it under the water. And I'll let that set up. While I let that set up, I'll put my tools away and maybe have a glass of wine.